Afternoon, guys, and welcome back to the Kieran Clothing podcast. This podcast, we are going to start with the first day of Royal Ascot, and I will be doing daily podcasts from now until Thursday, covering each day of Royal Ascot. So we've just had the declarations through, so I'm going to go through each race on the first day and tell you what I fancy and go from there. So first race, obviously, we got is the Queen Anne, the big start over a mile, where Rosalan is a favourite for Richard Hannon, obviously the winner of the St James's Palace last year at the meeting. Disappointed on reappearance in the Lockinge, but currently 3-1 favourite. You've got Dancing Gemini in there, and obviously leading artists do a four-take finish in the Lockinge. But the one I like in here is Lake Forest for William Haggis and Tom Marquander's book. Currently best price 14-1. I've actually put him up as my only anti-post selection so far on my Telegram for this last week. I just like the way that he ran. He seems that a mile is going to suit. He's run decent race in the Commonwealth Cup last season, finishing second. He was then second again at Newbury after that, and then ran a couple of times over 7.5 furlongs in Australia, where he's done not too bad at all, winning once over there. I just think the mile is going to suit. He looks a finisher, and he looks like the further he goes, the better he's going to be. He seems to always fall out the stalls and is at the back of the field first time up, so the way he's been finishing over 6 and 7, I think a mile is certainly going to appreciate him, and he will love the ground. As long as we don't get too much more rain, the faster the better for him. So that's Lake Forest in the Queen Anne. I've already put him up on my Telegram for an each way selection, so that's what it'll be, an each way selection. It's a decent competitive race, obviously it should be for a race like this. And then we move on to the Coventry Stakes, the first 2-year-old race of the week. Plenty in here. Obviously, we don't have Albert Einstein, who was very, very impressive on his 2 starts. He unfortunately doesn't come here now, which leaves Postmodern favourite at 4-1 for Wafnan Racing. James Doyle will take the ride. Obviously, Wafnan have been spending a lot of money buying lots of horses for this meeting. They normally do pretty well at this meeting, but I'm willing to take him on. Obviously, there's, like I said, 2-year-olds, anything can happen in this. Rashabar won it last year at a big price, and I'm willing to look further afield than the top of the market. If I was going to back one at the top of the market, it would probably be Godolphin's Military Code. Obviously won over the course on his first start and did it very nicely, and obviously the form of that race is working out pretty well as well. But the 2 I've got in here, the first one is Power Blue, coming over from Ireland. Obviously, it's currently best price 20-1, and he finished second last time out, behind Albert Einstein, who I mentioned earlier, up at the Curragh. Very decent run, to be fair. Put up a decent speed figure and time for all that race. Obviously, Albert Einstein was short price favourite for this race, but after he'd won that, the fact this horse only got within 2 lengths of him, and he's 20-1. The time before that, he was third again at the Curragh, behind Lady Iman, who was very short for the Albany before she's going to miss the meeting as well. So this Power Blue's got very strong form in the book, and I think he can go close. Currently best price 20-1. The fact that you're going to have 20 odd runner field, you're going to get decent each way claims. So Power Blue would be the first of my 2 selections that I have in this race. The other one is Super Soldier of Carl Burks. Last seen run over in France when finishing second in a decent listed race. The time before that, he was second at the course behind another Godolphin horse in Wise Approach. So he's got course form, and I think the further he goes, the better. I think 6 furlongs are going to suit him a lot better than 5. And he could go close. He's currently best price 40-1, and I'm willing to take a swing on him. There is one more down the bottom that I am going to look at. I haven't actually, is the Ollie Sangster horse, and that's Bon Mama, who's obviously only won a maiden at Wolverhampton. but it's best price 66 to 1. And I just think potentially, like, the Sanks has obviously won the race with Rashabar last season. This was before Ollie was training, and maybe he could outrun his odds as well. First time on the turf, but we shall see. All my selections will be up on tomorrow evening. Then we move on to the King Charles II race. King Charles, yeah, here's the King Charles anyway. What used to be the, but yeah. So in this, the 5 furlong sprint, which Believing is favourite. Obviously, all the talk about her running. This is going to be a final race, and then she's going to go to stud for Cornwall. She's 9-2 favourite for George Bowie. He said that she's come on really well for her last run over in Meydan, and that she should be well going suited here. But I can't see her reversing the form of Asflora. I really can't. The Australian horse is coming back over again for Henry Dwyer. Oisin Murphy will ride. I heard an interview with Oisin. He was very bullish about her after he rode. I think he was riding at Windsor last Monday. He was very bullish. He said he'd been out riding her, and she strengthened up over the winter months, and she looked even better than she did when he won on her last year. So that's a good telling sign. Obviously won the race last year. The only negative for her, she hasn't had a prep run over here like she did last year. Last year she ran at Haydock in the Temple Stakes, and then came here to this race. This time she's been just run twice in Australia, and then has coming straight to this race. I'm not sure whether that'll be a negative or a positive, but I'm willing to take the chance, and she'll probably be one of my stronger fancies of the day. 2 at bigger prices that I'd like to give a mention to. Rumstar is 1. Obviously, he won over course and distance at the back end of last season. Very nicely at the back end of last season, and then won at Newmarket at the beginning of this season. Was very impressive winner at Newmarket. Actually then went to the Temple Stakes as favourite for that race. Didn't quite run his race in there, unfortunately, only to finish 6th. But maybe Haydock just didn't suit him, and he could potentially run a decent race here. And then won a massive price is Twilight Calls of Richard Spencer's. Running this race last year, finished in 6th, only beaten 3 lengths. And at 66 to 1, I think that's a massive price. I think he can outrun his odds. He's run it in both the races at Newmarket and at Haydock, the same as Rumstar. Obviously, he's got a bit to find with that horse and a bit to find with a few others. But a strongly run 5 furlong race potentially could well suit this boy, who's more accustomed to 6 furlongs, I think. But strongly run 5 furlong race could be right where he wants a stiff finish at Ascot, isn't it? So yeah, could outrun his odds at 66 is. Then it's the big race of the day, the St James's Palace Stakes, where we see the 3 Guineas winners all fighting against each other. You've got Fields of Gold, the Irish Guineas winner, and second in the English Guineas, who's 4 to 5 favourite. Obviously, Colin Keane will take the ride now. He's got the job with Jugmont. Ruling Court is in here, second favourite. The Guineas winner obviously didn't run in the Derby the weekend before, because of the rain. So he comes here instead. Obviously, great chance. Obviously, on the form of winning the Guineas. But the one I'm going to back is Henry Matisse of Aidan O'Brien's, who won the French Guineas last time out. I think he's got the more solid form from the 2-year-old career of the 3 of them. I just think he's going to be ultra progressive, and Aidan O'Brien will have plenty of horses he could have possibly have brought here for this race. He knows the time of day, Aidan O'Brien, and I think Henry Matisse will go very, very close here. And the fact that you can get as big as 4 to 1, I think, is a massive price. Obviously, especially on the back of his French Guineas win last time out. Then we move on to the handicaps at the back end of the card. The first one being the Ascot Stakes. Actually, it's not handicap. It's the Ascot Stakes, and where Reading High is favourite here at 4 to 1 for Willie Mullins. Ryan Moore has been booked for the ride. Obviously, Willie Mullins does very well over these long distance flat races as well as his jumps horses, as we all well know. Obviously, he's won these races in the past. But I'm willing to take him on. There's two in this race I quite like. The first one is Ascot Le Grand, I think I pronounced that correctly, who won the Northumberland. It's for Tony Martin, who likes a bit of a gamble, who won the Northumberland Plate and the Savavich over here last year. So Tony Martin, who loves coming over to win the big pots in this country. This horse has very good form in the book. Obviously, ran at the Curragh last time out, but it looked like he needed the run that time. Will definitely come here, will be definitely prepped for the race, and I think currently best price 18 to 1. He will definitely outrun them odds. And the other one is Saturn of Jesse Harrington's, who won the Irish E-Ball last season. The longer trip is sure to suit. All the wins coming over 1 mile 6 so far. Looks like a proper stayer in the making, and at 25 to 1, I'd be willing to play him each way as well. And then we move on to the Wolferton Stakes which is the second from last race, where Enjar is favourite for Roger Varian. Obviously, they won this race last year with Issara, so he comes here in decent form and probably has a decent chance, to be honest. The one I quite like the look of, and he's been well backed over the last couple of weeks. I know a good friend of mine who's already put him up at bigger prices. He knows who he is. I'm not going to mention him. But the horse is Sons and Lovers of Joseph O'Brien's. Now, he's ran in 2 decent graded races last time out. Firstly, finishing behind his stablemate Gallen and Jan Brugal at the Curragh. And then he ran behind Los Angeles last time out. Both finishing 3rd and 4th respectively. Drops back into a handicap. Ryan Moore is booked for the ride. It's 9 to 1. I think this boy is going to outrun them rolls, and I think he will go very, very close in the Wolferton Stakes. And then the final race on the card is the Copper House Stakes over 1 mile 6, not 2 mile 4. 2 mile 4 is the Ascot Stakes, and favourite is French Navy, now bought by Wafnam for John Gosden, who trains it. James Doyle will take the ride. Obviously, another one of their purchases like Postmodern that they've got in the Coventry Stakes. But the one I like in here, and can't go wrong, he won well at Goodwood, French Navy, but that wouldn't be for me and not that price in a race like this. The one I'm going to back is My Mate Mozzie. One of my friends are from over the jumps. He was actually 3rd in this race last year. He's got Warren Fentimans booked for the ride, so a decent claimer to take £5 off. And Gavin Cromwell does very well when he brings horses over for these types of meetings. So My Mate Mozzie will be my each way play in the race for sure. But all my selections will be posted tomorrow evening on my Telegram page. If you haven't already joined, please come over and join. I will leave the link in the description below. So just to quickly skim through the best bets of this video, it's going to be Asflora in the King Charles, 5 furlongs to retain his title. Henry Matisse in the St James's Palace. I think he's overpriced at 4 to 1. And the last one will be Sons and Lovers in the Wolferton. I just think the form stands out back into a handicap. I think he will go really, really close. Thanks for listening, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe to the video, and hope you all have a good first day at Royal Ascot. I'll be back tomorrow with Wednesday's preview. But for now, be lucky, guys, and happy punting.